Hello and welcome to the Superhero Hub. I'm Sam,
I'm
and today we're going to be reviewing.
Guardians of the Galaxy 2.
Yeah, we of course saw it in the cinema and nowhere else, and we condemn the streaming of it online, even though it's third party and that's not illegal. So yeah, we've finally both seen it. Discuss.
You can't help yourself, can you? You can't help yourself.
Right. Okay. I'll say one thing. I was watching it and I was crushing on Karen Gillan, Nebula. Even though,
Really? I think she's hot, but under the blue makeup, I can't go for it.
Yeah, but the blue makeup didn't really bother me because when I was watching, I was just seeing her. I don't see colour. I don't see blue. So yeah, that was my first thought. It's interesting because James Gunn said that they weren't doing the Baby Groot thing just because like merchandising and stuff like that.
Yeah.
That's my statement. That's my statement. What do you think? You watched the film. He featured a bit.
Yeah, but I don't think they overdid it. I thought it was, but I think it's a win-win that you can get crap ton of merchandising off Baby Groot, and then you can make it work for you in the plot. And skip to the end. It's not like it's gonna be Baby Groot again. So
because when I was in the cinema, there was a lot of R-ing from women.
Yeah, great.
And stuff like that. So like,
see, it's done it.
Yeah. So yeah, now we've cleared that up. So basically, I mean, there's not really. Some bits I did think it was slow.
I think some bits were slow. Like what?
Yeah. And to be honest, I didn't really like. Okay. It kind of spiraled real fast. You know what I mean? Obviously, they deal with the creature. They go to the Sovereign. They get their reward, which is Nebula, and then it just so happens Rocket's jacked the batteries, which angers them, and then they're chased, and then blah 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 blah. They end up crashing. So that's obviously why Nebula's on the team. I thought it was the whole Sylvester Stallone thing when they introduced that. As soon as they introduced, like, because when they're at like whatever planet they're on and he confronts Yondu and whatever, I figured as soon as that happened and he makes the references, oh, you're never gonna see light. I mean, there's a name for it, but the flashy lights at your funeral, blah blah blah. I was thinking, right, so he's gonna die then. That scene would have been better placed in the first one, in the first film. But I don't really. But the problem is
they making 101, isn't it? It's what you do. It's the same. I swear, like if you watch Back to the Future, everything they say at the beginning ties in at the end. It's just part films. If you watch enough movies, like obviously you pick up on that stuff. And what I will say is, although spoiler the score, I enjoyed the movie overall. I had fun with it. There's very little to the plot.
Yeah,
like it just happened.
Yeah,
kind of. I don't even know who the gold people or the gold woman, whatever that is. I don't know who they are. I don't even know if it matters. But it's like suddenly they show up with Kurt Russell. What's it called?
Ego,
right? And then all crap goes loose. It just comes out of nowhere. It just moves so fast.
Yeah. It moved real fast at that point, and then it dragged for the rest. Literally for the rest of the film, it dragged. The Sovereign people, obviously, like if you offend them in any way, then it's punishable by death. So when Rocket stole the batteries, automatically they're like, right, it's punishable by death. That's why they're after him. I didn't like the little. I thought, like whatever the virtual reality pods were when they're like flying the spacecraft in the Sovereign. And it makes like the doofy noises when they get blasted and when they're shooting and stuff like that. When it's kind of making arcade noise, I thought that was batty. I thought that was batty. Didn't like that. I
thought Kurt Russell was. We have a lot of problems with movie villains in Marvel movies, and I thought he was good for what he was. I thought Kurt Russell played it well. It's just.
But what it's whack.
It's just another one of these things where I'm evil.
Yeah, they literally threw it in straight away and then dealt with it in like 20 minutes, really, because you had flipping, I thought I liked the kind of Mantis stuff and Drax. I was thinking, yeah, they'd kind of be good together. I like that. So I mean, introducing Mantis was good. Um, I kind of get the idea and stuff. It's weird, really, because you look at Ego and he has been around for millions of years, so you can see how he's kind of arrived at his kind of convoluted, kind of archaic like design for the universe and
Yeah,
stuff
but
like
you
that.
have to.
But
The problem
still,
is, you have to feel that in yourself, though, don't you? The movie doesn't really tell you that.
hmm
We can sit here and do that, but the movie doesn't. It's just, oh, I'm evil and I killed your mother. It's like, oh,
yeah, that was. I don't see why he needed to kill the mother.
no, not do
That's
I.
what it was, just for the sake of it. You know what I mean? So yeah, but I weren't. I really was not feeling Ego. I wasn't. I don't know what it
I
was.
love Kurt Russell, but I don't maybe. I think it's just, I think maybe part of it we're just all hyper aware of the Marvel movie villain thing, so this aren't very good, and this another one that just isn't. It's just suddenly so evil. It's basically like he's like inverse Star Lord. He's not like him. It's just super bad. This is what you can become, kind of thing.
Yeah. I thought
Yeah, I don't think he's any worse than Ronan though. Like Ronan wasn't much better, except I guess they kind of have more. I think we have happier memories of Ronan because maybe the dance off at the end of the film. I don't think there was ever that moment.
No, I think Ronan was good anyway, because you kind of really the basis of Ronan was right. He wants to destroy Xandar because of the war with his people. So I thought, I'm going to destroy it. So then he's like, makes a deal with Thanos. Okay, get me this thing, and then I'll do it. Then he realizes this thing is an Infinity Stone. So it's like, forget it, Thanos. I don't need you. I'll do it myself. And then that obviously it confronts with the Guardians of the
Yeah.
Galaxy. With
I'm
this
not
guy,
sure. I really don't think there's any more there with Ronan than there was with
I
Ego.
think I preferred the kind of this kind of thing with Ronan than I did with Ego, because really it was like, right, with Ego it was like, look, I want to but what is basically like, because basically he'd just be destroying the whole universe apart from himself. So
Yeah.
really, it convolutes the plot of what it was anyway. Right, or maybe it doesn't. It's interesting because it's like, right, I started off, I created myself as a little brain, then created a planet. Then I thought, right, I'm gonna search for other life, because it was like lonely in the universe, as it were. He didn't know anything, so he creates himself a body, goes out, finds life, and then he decides, actually, like, life's not worth it, so I'm just gonna destroy it all.
Yeah, there's not much there, is there?
No. So it's just basically that, and then it's like, uh, Peter's kind of like, oh, you killed my mum, so it's like, oh, disappointment, okay, then I'll destroy you. Or kind of use him against his will, as it were. You know what I mean? I thought the kind of Pac-Man thing was a bit random as well. So when they kind of clash in the caves, and he turns into a big one with the
Yeah, I
rocks, and
like.
then he
I
turns
thought
into
it's kind
Pac-Man.
of. It's a bit Green Lantern though. It's
Yeah,
a
it
bit, you know,
felt
it's
way out of place.
yeah, and my thing with Ego was I kept waiting in the third act for there to, you know, I got it, he was the bad guy, but I was waiting for there to be that moment where they have some sort of connection. Maybe right before he died, like, okay, I've screwed up, blah blah blah. I'm your dad. Go on, live your life, and do that crap. But rather, it never happened, and they moved that on to Yondu,
Yeah, I thought it was kind of,
and
they made,
then that just made Ego the irrelevant character.
yeah, and then they kind of, um, they did the whole thing with the celestial, like, oh, as long as you're on the planet, you can manipulate the light and stuff like that. They brought that up and kind of focused on him being the celestial. Well, now Ego's gone, he ain't got no powers no more. That was pointless, you know what I mean? I like the kind of Nebula and Gamora stuff when they're made up. You know what I mean? I like that stuff when they're talking about their childhood and referencing Thanos and what he did to them. I liked Rocket Raccoon and Yondu stuff. I liked Kraglin. I think obviously if they end up like having him kind of replace Yondu in the third film, I think he'll be pretty good.
Yeah, and I think that's what Latina. For me, I think probably my MVP for the movie was Drax.
Yeah, I think he
Batista.
laughed too much. Every other thing he did that laugh, and I was just thinking they've done that a couple times.
Yeah, not so
Too
much.
many.
Not so much laugh. There's more his general reaction to people, especially his relationship with oh
Mantis.
god, yeah,
Yeah, I thought that. Yeah, I'll agree that was good, but I think he did that kind of that kind of laugh, maybe a couple times. But yeah, I thought it was great as well. I mean, there was some real good bits in there, like when the planet's falling apart, and then Gamora's like, "Oh, where's Quill?" And then she goes out to try and whatever, and then Rocket electrocutes her and is like, "Sorry, I can only afford to lose one friend today." I was like, boom, that was powerful. That was like a sick moment. The funeral when all the lights come out. It's interesting that like there's obviously when they're doing the 700 jumps and they're blasting everywhere, and then they pass like a planet and there's two things fighting on it, and I was thinking it's annoying because it goes so fast. You have to kind of wait for the DVD to come out to actually like pause it or whatever, because I was thinking, oh, is that something? Because apparently there's speculation that was like Thanos fighting someone, but I was thinking, nah, no chance, because they look way too off. But yeah, there's two beings like fighting on a planet.
I wonder if it could be. I mean, I'll be honest with you, I missed it entirely.
Yeah.
So I had no idea. I wonder if it could be Hulk and Thor, or something to do with the Thor movie coming out.
That's what a couple people referenced as well, but it went so like fast you couldn't really see it. And really, I mean, you'd think by the time Thor comes out, unless that scene is in the Thor film and then they're like fighting and you see a little spaceship whiz past, then really you're not going to think anything of it, are you? And obviously you had the Watchers and Stan Lee. Obviously it's interesting. We'll get into this now because he pops up again after credits. But you don't think he's a Watu?
No. If he's a Watu, why wouldn't he just? Why is he wearing a spacesuit?
Yeah, but if he's okay, then why is he so many different people then?
But yeah, I granted there's so many different people.
I get I get what you mean with the spacesuit. And is talking to him like he knows him. Like, could you imagine just being Stan Lee and then all of a sudden, and like, why would a guy that old? I mean, I'm pretty sure you can't astronaut at that age. Maybe it's different in like the Guardians universe or whatever. But like normally, if he is just a normal Earth guy, and bear in mind, like he pops up on Earth, and then in the first Guardians of the Galaxy film, he was in. I guess it was Xandar, wherever it was, because he was flirting with a girl or whatever. So you got to think, and he was talking to him like he kind of knew him. You know what I mean?
It's just like, why wouldn't you? Like, I get it's another Stan Lee cameo, but why wouldn't you? If he is Iwata, why wouldn't you have him like transform?
Yeah, that would have cleared it up better. Yeah. Or if you had like just the Iwata Watcher and it talked like Stan Lee.
Right, I'm not so much against the idea that he's Uatu. I'm confused, to be honest. Yeah. If they showed him transforming into Uatu, or he specifically said I'm Uatu, then fine. But they didn't do that. So to me, it just looks like Stan Lee sat on a planet having a conversation with some Watchers. Maybe one of them's Uatu, but I don't know.
Yeah, they look good.
Yeah,
the actual Watchers look good. So yeah. I think it's interesting where they go. Let's talk numbers, then we'll talk an after scene discussion.
There's one thing we need to cover.
Okay.
Soundtrack was lame.
Yeah. First song was good, ELO, and then the Cat Stevens song.
George Harrison was cool, but other than that, there was no Fox on the Run. Right, that was the trailer song. What was that in it?
Yeah, that was a good one. I like that. Yeah, I'll agree. The soundtrack. I mean, apart from two songs, I mean, even in Guardians of the Galaxy, even literally, there was obviously like the Jackson 5, Redbone.
Full of them.
Yeah, and like even the ones like you didn't really know they sounded good, as opposed to in this ones, the ones that I'd never heard of. It was just like. You know what I mean? Yeah, I'll completely agree with that. So yeah, we'll talk numbers, and we'll kind of glaze everything after credits where it goes from here, because it all kind of goes together.
Okay, numbers. See, this is a tough one for me because I have a lot of criticisms, and we touched on them there, but I still had a good time.
Yeah.
7.5.
I watched it twice in the space of like a couple of days. So I mean, but I guess I guess I noticed kind of how like off it was the second time when I was sitting and watching it, because I obviously I'd watched it like a couple of days before, so I had a good memory of like how the story, everything that happens in it, and really I'd second time I didn't enjoy it as much as
Hmm.
like say if I watched another film for a second time I'd be hyped. I'll give it an 8 because I ain't gonna like floor the film. There was some good, but really like towards the end, like there was some emotional bits that kind of it reeled off one after another, and it was really good. But apart from that, there was nothing really. I didn't laugh the second time. Once I kind of heard the jokes again, I didn't laugh.
Ego, I mean, first the jokes thing. I thought, like I said, I found Batista funny. I thought some stuff was funny, but it did feel like they kept like have a beat joke, like they were trying to overkill the jokes rather than being organic to the
Mm,
story. And I think my big takeaway probably was the ego was a real drop,
mm.
like a real letdown. Like he's just so evil, and for no a reason they couldn't explain properly.
One of the things, I mean, there are two things that annoyed me in terms of jokes. One, the whatever route at the start, and then when Nebula takes out the things and she bites into it and she's like, they're not ripe. Whack joke. And when Aisha's like on whatever planet it was with Yondu, and they're wheeling the little red carpet thing, and then it breaks. I was thinking, no, terrible. It was
Hmm.
just so bad. I was thinking that's not even. It's like just have a walk normally. Not only did it take like 20 seconds, I was sitting there like, oh my god. I was annoyed the joke wasn't funny and it was dragging for about 30 seconds. I was sitting there like, oh my god, come on.
And they were probably even worse than ego, those like gold people, because I still like sat there throughout the whole film like, who are these people and what is the point of them? If I just dropped in and then dropped back out, and I didn't really get why. At least like they were kind of like the equivalent to Yondu in the first movie, as in Roland's the main villain and Yondu is kind of a foil that recurs throughout the rest of the film, but nowhere near as memorable as him at
Yeah.
all.
Um, I like the visuals, the kind of whizzing round of the arrow. I always like that stuff. And like another thing with the gold people, like at the start when they're like getting chased and stuff like that, and they're blasting, and like there's one guy left and he gets blown up, and they're like, whatever his name is, you suck. I was thinking, come on, man, that don't feel right. These guys are like, you know what I mean? They're like
Mm.
alien people, and they're you suck. It's like, come on, that didn't feel right at all. I know it seems like we're bashing the film,
Yeah, I
but
honestly,
like, yeah,
but there are criticisms to be had. I mean, this is kind of
we're being real. We ain't gonna like, we don't sugarcoat. This is the no BS zone.
even if you're a big DC person like I know you are, and I like both of them, but even if you're a massive DC person, one thing you got to say for Marvel is you make a deeply flawed movie like I think this is, and I still sit here thinking, hey, I had a good time and I'll happily watch it again. Unlike it's something like a Suicide Squad or something. Not that you need to compare the two, but I think Suicide Squad and this movie have that's not fair. Suicide Squad I think is a mess. Batman v Superman and this movie I think have the same amount of flaws, but I still have more fun watching this one.
Yeah, because it's interesting because this film will be clocking up like what 70-80%, whereas Batman versus Superman's getting like 30%, and
Yeah.
for all intents and purposes, that they ain't really that far off. To be honest, to watch this again, I wouldn't watch it till it comes on TV in like 3 or 4 years, like terrestrial TV. I wouldn't watch it for about 3 or 4 years, and then watching it again, I would have forgotten bits of it. I mean, within like 20 minutes, I'll probably remember it. But boy, there were some bad things. After credits,
There's a lot of them, weren't there?
five. So
Five.
the first one was Sylvester Stallone. See, I was thinking originally when he was cast, I started to worry because I was thinking when he talks, I'm not kind of going to understand him. but he kind of sounded pretty audible. Obviously, you've got Charlie 27. Basically, the Guardians of the Galaxy, the original ones from the 60s. Who,
Hmm.
if you watch Guardians of the Galaxy superhero files, you'll know. And then, like, they become the Galactic Guardians. So I'm thinking, James Gunn said he wanted Sylvester Stallone to return to do more films. Does that mean all them are going to come along as well? And is there literally going to be a Galactic Guardian film?
No, I don't think so. I don't see it happen. I love Stallone, but I do sit here thinking, oh, what is the point of this?
Yeah.
Like, I don't see him having their own movie, and I don't see him being a massive. He'll probably be in it, but I don't see him being a massive part of Guardians 3. So I really don't get
Because
the
it's going to
point
be
of.
pretty overcrowded. But it depends. Are they going to be like a kind of backup in the sense the Ravagers are? Because now you got to think, right? Say you got to think that Kraglin's part of the team now, because
Yeah,
I mean the first after credit scene is him with the Finn and the thing, and then he gets Drax with it. So you got to think they're on the same ship now. So as part of the team. So does that mean we're not going to see any other Ravagers now in the next film? There's no need to see Ravagers. So are the Galactic Guardians going to take the place of them, as in like backing them up if they need help, like
I, s-
like the kind of Ravagers did at the end of the first Guardians film?
I
Well,
suppose probably that makes. If you're going to see him again, you're going to see him in a Guardians 3. Like, you're not going to see him in anything else. I don't think anyway. So yeah, probably.
yeah, because you've obviously got Charlie 23, you got Michelle Yeoh playing the woman, you've got Michael Rosenbaum playing Martin X Naga, the kind of crystalline guy who had maybe one word in the whole
Yeah,
film, even though they were bigging it up like he was going to be a big character. Miley Cyrus was mainframe, and then you had the Sorcerer Supreme as well, didn't you? The little red thing which puts its thumbs up, and it had like the Doctor Strange ring around it behind the things, because apparently that guy, I forget his name, but he goes in the comics, he goes on to become Sorcerer Supreme. So it's interesting that obviously he wasn't a member of the Guardians, the original one. So it's interesting why they've kind of thrown him in. Whether they've thrown it in to be like, oh yeah, it's like the Doctor Strange magic thing is far-reaching. It isn't just like on Earth; it is everywhere else.
yeah. Well, because he's going to send 4, or he's going to help 4, isn't he? Right? He's in the new 4 movie, so I guess that makes sense.
Yeah. Then you've got. I figure they just threw this in because I mean it'd be less explaining for the third film that Groot's like a teenager now.
Yeah, and that's kind of what I mean about like the baby Groot thing. There's no doubt I think merchandising played a role, but it didn't overdo it, and now it's done.
Yeah.
So I don't see the problem. Yeah, and yeah, so they're gonna have an older Groot. I think he'll probably be even older than a teenager by the time we get to Guardians 3. He's probably going to be back to how he was in the original as well.
Yeah, or maybe even bigger, because really, like how he was in the first Guardians was maybe like half the size. He kind of I know he kind of stilts up in the prison, but really he's probably about that tall anyway. You know, it's a massive thing. Then you add again Stanley with the Watchers, where they kind of ditch him. So whatever that's about, I get your trepidation. I can't really again, it would have kind of simplified things. Then we have Adam Warlock. So
There you go. That's the only one that really matters.
yeah, Aisha looked a lot better without a helmet with long hair.
Yeah, no. Again, I don't care about Warlock. That's cool, but
Yeah. So really, it's interesting because obviously, if you watch our superhero files on Adam Warlock, he's generally the holder of the Soul Stone. So I mean, whenever Guardians 3 comes out, if that comes out really in terms of timeline, it's all over the place. Because I mean, a lot of people were kind of thinking that all the Infinity Stones are going to get together before Infinity War. Like, oh, where's it going to turn up? Guardians, Black Panther. It's got to be in one of them. But really, with Guardians 4 apparently being the Infinity Gauntlet, you got to think like really this last stone don't have to pop up for the next, like it doesn't, has no reason to pop up for the next, what, 3 years.
3 years. Well, when does the Thanos thing happen though? That's got to be like what, next year, year
Well,
after.
the Infinity War is where he pops up, but it depends whether he's going to be the holder of the Infinity Stones. Because I
I
don't
think
think
he
he
will
is.
be. Oh, yeah, he will be though. He's gonna have to. He's gonna have the gauntlet, and they'll put the stones in it, and that'll be the thing, won't it? I mean, you don't need to wait for Warlock. They can change that.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. But really, like, okay, then with enhanced half,
You know, we talked
it'd
about
work.
before.
It'd work if he's like new age kind of Adam Warlock with the kind of magic, as it were.
Yeah, you can
Because
work around that. We talked before in one of the super files. I forget what it was. It might have been the Warlock thing, but we talked about how they've changed Ultron's origin to remove Ant-Man, who came after that movie, and make it Tony Stark and Bruce Banner.
really it's about what's comfortable for Marvel as opposed to the kind of comic book thing, because really they're appealing to everyone else. So I mean, they had to have Ultron be created by Tony Stark, because really they can't just have flipping, because Ant-Man wasn't one of their big things.
It
If
wasn't
Ant
ready either, and it's better
Yeah,
that way. It's better you wait for Ant-Man to make his own movie than shoehorn him in that film just because you want to do Ultron.
yeah, because I mean, if Ant-Man film was like in phase one and it was already established, then you could have done it. But the fact it wasn't established is,
And it
which
was
is
meant to be, wasn't it? Because Edgar Wright was working on it at the time, but it just didn't happen.
yeah, which is probably why the Soul Stone origin would be changed, because people ain't ready for Adam Warlock yet, because no one even knows who he is. Yeah, it's hinted in this film, and I can imagine there's a lot of people like, oh, who's Adam Warlock? Watching all those videos, watch ours.
Right. And Warlock, James Gunn spoke about how Warlock was originally going to be in this film, but he
Yeah,
changed it to be Mantis instead. So
yeah, he cut out some big bits as well.
yeah,
Big bits of that. It's interesting because really, in my head, it's just going to be right. The third film, if it's like the main villain, as it were, is going to be that the Sovereign are going to come back again. Obviously, you're going to have them featuring heavily in it, pulling the strings, and then you just know in the end it's going to be like, oh, he's just going to turn into a hero anyway. So he's going to realise the error of his ways and turn on the Sovereign. So that's the film. You know, no wonder James Gunn's writing it already. I've written it for you, mate, in 10 seconds. You're welcome.
it writes. I mean, it writes itself. But I mean, I'll watch it. I'm down.
Yeah. But boy. So yeah. Anything else we missed? Not really. Get a better soundtrack. Knock off some of those really bad. Like, I'm telling you, that thing's haunting me where they're wheeling out the carpet for Aisha. Get rid of that. Never want to see that again. What one thing that was, because Vin Diesel does the voice of Groot, but I was thinking, like, how did they work that for this video? Because really they could have just got anyone to do it and then just like changed it to sound like a little one.
Yeah,
Because you
but
could see how you could tell it was Vin Diesel in the first film, but in this film, literally could have been anyone.
it could. But I think that's just half the fun, isn't it? The fact that it can be anyone, but you get Vin Diesel to do it. So
Yeah.
and he had the thing with the Iron Giant, and it'll be back to being him again in the third one, won't it? I mean, it was him again this year, but
Clearly him. Yeah.
yeah,
I'm interested in where Nebula's going now, because I mean she's got her stuff together. So really, her plan was to sort out Gamora and then go on to take out Thanos. So is she going to end up in a predicament like she did at the start of this film? You know, she disappears. Next time we see her, she's captured or in prison or something. Because for
probably.
her to take
I
on
presume
Thanos.
she's going to be in the Infinity Gauntlet or whatever the hell they're calling that movie. She's probably going to be in that, right? I guess.
Yeah, things have worked out well for her, but I'm glad she got a bigger role in it, and I really did like her bits in it.
Me too, and I'm glad she didn't join the team at the end. That would have done my head in.
Well, I think she like becomes a kind of like hero character in the comics. So really, like, if she sorted herself out, as it were, if she still had the same kind of indignations, like, you know, where she's like turning her nose up at the rest of the team, if she kind of had that, but like was like, she'd be a good anti-hero part of the team.
Well, like Wolverine or something, just someone who's angry all the time.
Well, yeah, Who,
I guess
or who's
because
like, if they
they're
put her
taking
in the
Drax down another route now. I suppose there's room for that.
yeah, or if they put her in the position where she's like reluctantly there as well. But now they've kind of sorted out the Gamora stuff. It wouldn't be like reluctantly there because she hasn't got animosity. She can have annoyance, but there'd be no reason for her to have animosity. Now they've sorted it out.
Hmm.
So yeah, but she was definitely one of the good characters. Yondu was the whole the really there was no point in Ravagers being there. You know, the whole Taserface thing was batty.
Oh yeah.
His because they kind of pipped him to be like a big character as well, but really it was just kill him and get on with the plot. You know what I mean?
There were no big characters really aside from I mean, Star-Lord was the lead of the last movie, but it was overwhelmingly the lead of the film this time round.
Yeah.
It was. I mean, speaking of Wolverine, it was like an X-Men movie where he was Wolverine, the absolute lead of the film, and everyone else has kind of supported him. Whereas then it felt more like of a team thing in the first Guardians.
Exactly. So there's a couple dynamic shifts, I guess, but yeah.
Well, there it is. I still contend I had a good time.
I had a good time the first time round, a little less of the second time round, but I'm happy we're leaving it for a bit and then watching it again in like a couple years.
Yeah.
And, like,
For the love of
forgetting
God,
bits of
get the
it.
soundtrack right there next time, though.
Yeah, that was
I
crazy.
couldn't believe that.
How they went from the first soundtrack to this, because really, ELO was the good one. Was good at the start. The whole starting sequence, I like that. And the father and son by Cat Stevens at the end at the funeral thing. That was really good.
The trailer had better music. You had better music for the trailer. It's like, what were you thinking?
Exactly, that was a great. Like the first time I heard that on the trailer, I was just singing it to myself for the rest of the day.
I was waiting for the entire movie for it to kick in. I'm like, okay, this is a little bit crappy. Oh, George Harrison, I kind of like that, but it's a little bit crappy. Where's the song? Where's the song? I'm sitting through the credits. Even the credits, I'm like, okay, you got to bring it in here. No. Ugh.
Yeah, I feel that. So yeah, I'm Sam.
On that positive note, I'm Matt.
And we keep it real. And this has been the Superhero Hub, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2 review and after credits future speculation discussion.
Wow, that's my hell of a title.
That won't be the title, but that's just a gist. Okay.